So just so you know, this call is being recorded and then it's going to be on YouTube as well. Happy to share with you everything that you need. All right, you guys. So this morning, I'm so grateful. Gratitude is going to be a very powerful word that we're going to be using today. But I'm so grateful to share Carolyn Flower's message. Carolyn is a beautiful person, and I'm so glad that we got in touch about a month ago. Quick backstory about Carolyn. She empowers individuals, entrepreneurs, experts, and leaders to amplify authority by writing transformational books. She's a best-selling author and publisher. That's a pretty big deal.
Thank you.
So, my first question to you is, how did you come across gratitude in the first place?
Well, that's a great question. And I'll tell you the answer that I actually didn't realize was the answer until I actually did a radio program and they were asking me live, when did gratitude, like what was was this recent? You wrote a book about it. And I realized that gratitude was a practice I had had since I was a little kid. I just didn't know what I was doing at the time. But my story goes back to living in a household. It's not a tragic story, but there was somebody in my household, one of my parents, that suffered from mental illness. And again, I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was that I couldn't process things that were going on in the house, which is really why I became a writer at a really, really young age. That was my poetry, my writing. It was the way that I could manage and cope and strategize how to solve things. So as a kid, I used to write. I love, my bike. I love my friends. So I was writing gratitude really, really young. And then it was just part of the way that I guess chose to look at things through that lens versus the other. So maybe it was just the contrast of the way things were in my house, which was the other, and I just chose another path for myself, but that's always been my path.
Okay, so it started at a very young age. So it seemed as if it was in alignment with journalism. I guess that's how you started writing in the first place, right?
Yeah, I started writing for myself. And then one of the really interesting parts of my story, which is really what my business today has become, is I had a teacher when I was in grade 4 who took a shine to me. So here I was at 9 years old, and she had me believing I was a published author because she wanted to read my work. So she'd say, bring it after class and I want to read it. And then she had me write it out on the bristle boards at the time, right? And she would post it up in the classroom. So there was a belief in me at that time that I had something important that could come out of me and other people would like and get inspired by it. So I've dedicated my business to her many times. As a matter of fact, in the back of my book, there is a dedication to her. And I searched for her for 40 years until I found her after I published the book in serendipity. And the first copy of my book was given to Deepak Chopra because I was studying there, and the second copy was given to her. So it's really amazing when you get to actually talk to somebody who empowered and changed your life and let them know of the impact they had, which is why I publish books, because life writes extraordinary stories. So I want people to understand how powerful and important their story is, because they're always going to inspire somebody else.
Those of you guys who are just jumping in, do me a favor and just mute yourselves. Okay, so thank you for sharing that, because this is actually a great transition that goes into my next question. So from my own personal experience with gratitude, I believe, and please tell me if I'm wrong, that gratitude and the law of attraction are very much correlated.
They are.
So it sounds as if, from your experience as well, your teacher had made you believe that you have a very special gift. And she like, you know, like ingrained that seed in your head and empowered you and positively pushed you to act upon it. Can you share with us a little bit, you know, for one, what is the law of attraction? And do you believe that gratitude is a vehicle for manifestation?
Oh, of course, it's the foundation for all, because we all know that the law of attraction is the secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. So you can't have the law of attraction without it. And your vibrational energy, the frequency that you're on, dictates what you'll manifest. So if you're in unwanted emotions that are, you know, lower vibrating emotions, and you seek to attain a certain success or something that you want to attract into your life, unless you move yourself out of some of those lower vibrational energies and go, you know, and move yourself up that scale of emotions, because it's all about how we feel. So gratitude for me has always been just an instantaneous way of changing my state. So if, like everybody, we find that we're, you know, a little off center, or we're off balance, or we're not in that feeling state that we know is where we really want to be. For me, the whole practice of gratitude became the way that I could instantly tap into shifting that frequency. And then when you shift that frequency and you feel better, and what better way to feel better than to look at everything around you that you can be grateful for, it moves you into a completely different vibrational energy. And that energy instantly makes you feel better. And so I often say that gratitude is contagious, because whatever the energy we're putting out is what we're going to attract. So when you start focusing on what you're grateful for, it's amazing how more things to be grateful for show up.
For sure, you know, and you guys, this is when you'll want to start writing things down, because Carolyn is really diving into some really powerful stuff. And, you know, when I was getting the questions set up, I was really hoping and praying that our questions will be in alignment. However, from my own personal experience with gratitude, I could have only assumed that that would be the case. You know, something that's super powerful that you said is that gratitude is a vehicle that helps you to change your state. And this is something that all of you guys might want to write down. It will instantly change your state. So now, if, you know, for anybody who's not very familiar with the law of attraction or the law of vibration, I have to be honest with you, for the longest time, I was like, this is some hippie shit. I ain't about that. Like, you know, just like very like hardcore. And then, you know, like somebody who was my very first mentor has introduced me to it. And I can tell you that it transformed my life 360 degrees. And it's like one of the most powerful tools. And that's why, you know, when we were introduced for the first time, I'm like, I want you on my show, because I know that what you're going to talk about is going to be epic. But if you can just, you know, touch upon the law of vibration just a little bit, like what is the law of vibration for somebody who's like vibrating? Like, what do you mean? Like my phone's vibrating? Like what does that mean?
So we're made up of energy. I mean, I'm sure that your audience is, you know, they're tuned into you, so they, you know, they understand that part of the equation, that we are energy, and as energy, we operate in frequencies. So I like to teach sometimes, you know, I teach universal law. So these are laws that are not man-made laws. I mean, we know the law of gravity. We understand how that works. We can see it. We understand it. But when we talk in frequencies, I try to say that, you know, if you have a conversation with somebody and, you know, you just don't feel you're aligned, they're talking in a way that is just kind of, it doesn't resonate very well with you. It's like they're listening to another radio station than you are. You know, radio stations or radio waves are frequencies. Right. So often when we move through our journey, we tune into people maybe for a little bit of a time, and then we just, you know, we allow them to move out of our life. And it's not because we want them to, it's just because we change frequencies. So we tend to go and align ourselves with people that are in that emotional or that kind of vibrational state. So I tend to like to think of it that way, so that there's no shaming or blaming or anything like that. Is sometimes we're just not listening to the same radio frequency, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
You know, and just like a real life example, I just asked a question to the audience in the chat box, like, can any of you guys relate? Like, a great example is, have any of you guys like ever like gone out on a first date and you're like, I don't know what it is, but I'm just not feeling it about this guy or girl? And you're like, all right, like, I'm not gonna see you. Or the first time that you meet the love of your life, and you're like, I don't know, like, how, why, what's happening, but you know, this person I can tell is going to sweep me off my feet. I feel like women especially are very in tune with their emotions like that, but that is the law of vibration. So thank you for sharing that. Now, do you mind talking a little bit about the law of attraction as well?
Well, we attract what we think about. I mean, it's our thoughts that are, you know, people live from the outside in, like in this current state, this economic downturn, whatever you want to call it, that we're being asked to pause for a little while. People are focused on what's going on out there, and we need to flip that upside down. You manifest your results based on how you think, which determines how you feel, which determines the action you're going to take, and then the results that you're going to have. So your manifestations, your results are all based on how you choose to think. And your thoughts are going to create your emotions. And I'm a big Neville Goddard fan. So, you know, feeling is the secret. So it is your thoughts that create your emotions, not the other way around. People think that the way they feel then determines how they're going to think about their life. But you want to live from the inside out. So for me, I have a practice every day. It's I call it my inner wealth practice. And it starts at 5:30 in the morning. And I don't turn on any kind of technology. I create before I connect. So I never turn on a phone before 9. And I determine what kind of day I'm going to have myself before I allow the rest of the world to trample in and try to influence me. So I've decided on my life script. I've decided on how my day is going to go. I've decided on my revenue generating activities. I've done gratitude. I've done visioneering. I've done all those exercises so that when I determine that the world can come in now, I'm set. So nobody can change my state at that point, because I've done that for myself first. And that's my gift to me every day when I wake up.
That is so powerful. I love it. I want to repeat some things that you said that are like,
I want to throw
money.
A fist pump.
Erin's like, I want to throw a fist pump. She's listening on the sideline. So thoughts create emotions. This is like the easiest way to tell whether somebody is in tune with their life or not, right? Like, you know, for everybody who's listening, like, I want you to think about, you know, a time when you woke up late and you were stressed out. What do you presume that the rest of your day is going to look like when it starts like that, Carolyn? Is it going to end up that way?
Listen, it's, you know, you can go down that rabbit hole really fast if you allow yourself, but if you're not taking notice of what you're thinking about, you can course correct.
Right.
Okay. You can wake up late and you can start tracking your thoughts and then correct them. If you have that awareness of what you're thinking about. If you're unaware and you're just on autopilot, chances are, because just like gratitude, one grateful thought is going to attract another one and another one and another one. The law works in the reverse. So if you obey the law, you can make it work for you, or it can have control over you, which is the outside in, and you could think a thought that is going to make you feel bad about yourself. And if you don't course correct, you're going to continue to attract the same thoughts, and you're going to end up with a day that then you determine was a bad day. There is no good or bad.
Right, right.
It's just the day that you decide to have. There's no such thing as good or bad. That's the law of polarity, right? You can decide to be right down that middle place, and you get to choose what kind of thoughts you're going to think. So you actually, this is your superpower.
Yeah.
This is how much power you have over your life. So that I always find very, very reassuring, because it just lets me know that, okay, you're in charge, right? You're the captain of this ship. You get to decide how your life. So if you want to know how your life is going to be a week from now, or a day from now, or a year from now, think about how you're spending your time thinking today. And from today, your results will show up later in the day, tomorrow, or the day after. So that's the power of just being aware of your thoughts.
Yeah, oh, that's powerful. You know, I truly believe that manifestation is one of the greatest skills that will absolutely transform your life. And I think it's one of the greatest gifts that, you know, we can teach each and everybody. And honestly, I don't care what industry you're in, whether, you know, you're in body transformation, or, you know, whether you're in publishing and writing, or whether you're in sales, it really doesn't matter. Like this is a skill that can create whatever it is that you wish to create. So now,
and by the way, we're always manifesting. It's not like it's actually an activity that we choose. We're
right.
manifesting all the time.
Right. So now this is a question that's going to like stray a little bit off topic, but then I'm going to get back to the course. However, I think it's an important question to ask, but based off of everything that we talked about so far, do you believe that luck is something that's actually created?
Yeah, there's no such thing as luck. You create the way and the path that for yourself. You know, people call things coincidence, meaningful happenstance. People have a lot of terminology for things that apparently just show up in your path. You decide what's going to show up in your path, right? It's a bridge. So if you decide that you want this, or this is where you want to go, or this is your goal, and you're here, the way that you think and the way that you feel and the actions that you take is going to lead you and to bring that future back to yourself even quicker. So I don't think that luck has anything to do with it. I tend to look at it as serendipity. These are meaningful things that happen along the path.
I love it. I want each and every one of you guys who is in the room right now to write one thing that you want to happen to you in 2020. Write it, manifest it. Okay, we're gonna get back on course. So obviously, you know, your own journey with gratitude started at a very young age when you were in 4th grade, and it completely transformed you, and that's why you're so passionate about it. Now, when was the first time in your life that you can actually recall the impact that gratitude had on your life?
If I were to relate it specifically to the book, it's an interesting story because I decided to when I decided to write my book, which I published in 2015, it was just after my father had passed away. And the parent that I was left to care for was actually the parent that hadn't cared for me, right? So I knew that this had happened the way it was supposed to happen, because this was about healing. So I made a decision to write gratitude every single day for 365 days back in 2014. Okay, so my father passed away in 2012. 2013, I took the year off because I had to look after my mother. She was in and out of hospital constantly, and I'm an only child, and I was it. I became the caretaker. 2014, I decided on January 1st for 365 days, I was going to write gratitude for the sole purpose of obviously writing gratitude and knowing that it was going to be beneficial to me, but I wanted to track how it would impact me. And so I've had this question asked many, many times, like, okay, what do you write? What do you write about? You know, how do you write gratitude, you know? And so that year I started I was traveling at the beginning of 2014. So I took some, you know, sticky notes and notepads, because that's who I am. I'm always writing and journaling and whatnot. And so I started writing gratitude on a little sticky note, and I dated it every single day. And then the sticky note became bigger, and the bigger note became a half a page, became a full page. So I wrote every day without fail for 365 days. And then in the new year of 2015, I took out all of those papers, and then I put them into month by month, and they're actually part of my book. I took them because I wanted to tell people some of the things that you're going to write that you're grateful about are just regular, ordinary things. You don't have to be writing about something that somebody would say, wow, of course you're grateful for that. It could be as simple, in my case, of one of my children got home safely during a snowstorm, you know, or that one of my kids graduated, or that my extended blended family was there to support me during a really difficult time. Because here's the thing, people tend to put gratitude into this mindset of, well, I'm struggling right now. What do I have to be grateful for? But the fact is, when you're struggling is the exact time that you need to tap in, because it's going to help you move through that and out of it. Is it a magic pill? No. Do you need to be consistent about it? It's a mindset. You need to train yourself like you're going to the gym, like you're transforming your body. Gratitude is a thought process and a training process. So if you decide to start one day to train your body, you can start one day to train your mind. But if you go to the gym inconsistently, you're not going to see the results that you want. So it's a practice like anything else. So if you make a decision to say, I'm going to practice gratitude for 365 days, you're going to see a massive change in your life.
I love it.
And through the struggle, which is what I was living with at that time, really, really actively trying to juggle a very ill parent with dementia and a business and relationships. And so if you can find things that in your life, no matter what they are, to be grateful for every day, you will transform your entire life.
110% agree with you. Okay, so let's say we're probably going to get a little bit more hands-on right now. Let's say that somebody is like, okay, I dig it. However, let's say they're at a point where right now they're struggling. I mean, like, the timing of this interview couldn't have been any more perfect, right? Like, we're going through what I would call a very special time, because I believe that we all have an equal power to create.
Yes.
However, we have to be aware of it. But let's say somebody would challenge us because they will, go about how right now they're in a compromised situation. Totally understand. The reality is that everybody's struggling right now, but it's up to us to change that. Now, the other day, one of my clients was telling me that she was really like struggling and she had a bad day. So I asked her, okay, what are 3 things that you're grateful for? So she said XYZ. All right, cool. And then she's like, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, can you think about 2 more things? And she's like, oh yeah. And she wrote it down. And I'm like, you have 5 things to be grateful for. You're blessed. So now what if somebody wants to challenge us regardless and say, well, I don't have something to be grateful for right now? Then, what I would tell them in return is, what are some things that if they were to be taken away from you by tomorrow, you would feel sad about or would make you feel more stressed out? So then they write it down without realizing, like, it could be like more in their mindset is not there, but they're living in a state of fear. However, it allows to appreciate that things could be worse. I think that is one way to create gratitude. Now, do you have a different approach to creating gratitude for somebody who's struggling?
Yeah, so the number one thing that, one of the things that I learned, I attended a Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. So he has he has something called the emotional flood. And I found it to be extremely powerful. And so I activate that myself. I think what people tend to do is they write down things and they write them down from their conscious mind. Okay, it's a sunny day. I have a really great, I had a great meal. I have great friends, whatever it is, but it's not they're not really feeling what that feels like. Okay, they're touching on something that is consciously that they're aware of. So what I like to do, which is the practice that I really adopted after that event, was to sit down and actually spend, it doesn't have to be long, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, but you want to go back in time and you want to actually put yourself into moments that you were deeply grateful and feel the feeling of what they felt like at that time. So when I did that exercise at UPW, okay, for me, it was instant. It was the birth of each of my 3 children. And I could easily put myself back in the moment of when they came into the world and what that felt like and the people that were around me. And I mean, you can almost, you can smell it, taste it, touch it, feel it, hear it. Those moments will shift you at a deeper level than the conscious mind just writing things down. So if you feel that you can't shift yourself by just practicing every day, the thing is, when you start writing gratitude, at the beginning, you may write 3 things. But if you actually practice it every day, you're going to find the list gets longer and longer. It's like magic, right? So if you go back into moments that really impacted you in a really deep way, and you use that as a way to put yourself into that feeling, you know, that all is well, that is that's the activator, because you're activating how you feel instead of just, you know, how you think and then how you feel.
Sure. You know, for anybody who's not very familiar, would you mind touching up upon the difference between the conscious brain and the subconscious brain?
Well, your conscious mind is you know, it operates on you know, your conscious the reality around you. Your subconscious mind is your internal programming. It's the operating system. Right? Your mind controls your body and your habits. And you know, I'm a student of Bob Proctor. I've studied with him for many years, and he labels it as paradigms, right? So if you have a paradigm, a belief system that you have adopted, some of them aren't even our own. They're just ancestral. They have been dumped into our mind from when the time we were really young. Sometimes when we kind of take a look around and we've said we believe in something for so many years, you actually probably don't. And some of those things are lies, right? The word belief has the word lie in it. So what are those lies that you keep telling yourself? And what are those things that are controlling your behavior? You probably see it in your industry all the time. People say, I want to transform my body, and they have every intention of doing it. But they start and they stop, and they start and they stop. It's like, what's controlling your behavior is not here. It's in your subconscious mind. So what you want to do is start asking yourself what your limiting beliefs are. And then there's any number of ways that you can move through those to switch that, you know, listing all the things that are a negative belief you have about yourself and doing the polar opposite. You know, there's affirmations, there's a lot of ways to do that, but that's the control mechanism, right? There's a really great book by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who wrote Psycho-Cybernetics. Okay. And that's all about how your mind is like a thermostat, how your subconscious mind is like a thermostat, and how you're programmed to always bounce back to those beliefs. So what we need to do is get deeper. And I would say that gratitude is even a tool for you to be able to do that. Because the more you're grateful for, the more you're grateful for you.
Yeah.
Okay. It starts with you being grateful for you.
Right.
The more you're grateful for you, you'll find that you become grateful for everybody, because what we appreciate appreciates. Okay. That's how that works. So being in a state of gratitude, when I say it changes your life, it changes everything in your life.
Ah, so powerful. You know, I want to share with you an experience that I have from my own industry. And this is a question for all of you guys listening. I'm sure that each and every one of you guys know at least one person. It happens to be more often than not females rather than males who, regardless of how healthy they try to live, they really, really struggle with weight loss, right? And that is because their internal programming is full of beliefs that they're meant to look a certain way. And I also believe, and Carolyn, tell me if this is true. Again, this is my own belief from the way I view the world, why a lot of women who become moms start not being in as great of a shape as they were before, because there is this belief system that once you're a mom, after you've gained all this weight, like this is what a mom's body is supposed to look like. So, the way that Erin and I do things is a little bit different because we work with manifestations and gratitude. And for anybody who is either doing the blueprint or has done the blueprint, like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But, like we see it with women's bodies all the time, right? Like women, like going to the gym very often and like their body's not changing, or they're eating healthy and their body is not changing. Of course, it has to do with like also being intentional or not being intentional about certain behaviors that you have that you probably don't realize. But even if you try to do everything, but your internal programming, right, your belief system is like, you're meant to be fat, it doesn't matter what you're gonna do, you're gonna stay at the same exact spot. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's what the thermostat is all about. It's like changing the temperature in the room. It's whatever you set that thermostat at, somebody opens the door, the heat comes on, the room warms up, the thermostat goes back to 72 degrees, right? That's your internal programming at work. And the good news is you can change it.
Right.
You can change that. It's not like you're saddled with that. You can change any of these things. The first step is becoming aware of it.
Right.
Right.
Awareness is step one for creating change. 100%.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So, I'm sure since you've been practicing it for such a long time, and obviously like gratitude has completely like transformed your life, would you mind sharing with us like your own personal step-by-step approach to how you practice gratitude on a daily basis? I mean, I can only assume that, with what you do, like for you, gratitude is a way of life, and you don't just do it like one time throughout the day. However, you probably dedicate some time just for gratitude for each and every day, right?
Yeah, well, it's a feeling that I carry around with me all the time. So, it's like refocusing the lens. You can choose what set of glasses you put on. And so, if you're faced with some adversity, I mean, we're all faced with challenges. That's just a fact of life. Okay.
Right.
But how you perceive those challenges, the lens by which you look at them through, makes all the difference. About one of the things Bob Proctor teaches about finding answers to challenges is he says you write the challenge on a piece of paper and put it in the middle of your table, and then walk around the table. Like it's that simple, because you just sometimes need a different perspective. So if a challenge comes to me, the first thing I do is I look at it from the lens I choose. So I never, problems don't exist. They're challenges. Challenges are problems, just they give you a feeling of unsolvability. A challenge is a challenge. We all, and we want challenges, right? Because that's how we grow, and that's how we push forward, and that's how we decide, where we're reaching for. So we all should be challenging ourselves. But you can take a look at something that shows up like this pause in time that we find ourselves in right now. If you choose to, you can live in a place of fear. If you choose to, you can get swept up with some sort of notion that this is a horrific and terrible time, or you can choose to see how this time can benefit you. And it's just a choice of thinking. Right. So if you choose to think of it as, okay, well, do I have to pivot my business? One of my kids lives in the UK. So, I love and grateful for the fact that I can be in contact with him anytime, but especially now through social media and through FaceTime and Zoom calls, that gives me great comfort. So if you're looking at the challenges and what you focus on expands. So if you're focused on the challenge and focused on the challenge, and that's all you're thinking about, and that's where you're directing your thoughts, that's the life that you're going to find yourself in, with challenges, because that's all you're focusing your attention on. But if you switch it up and focus your attention on what you're grateful for, or what you appreciate, or what's fantastic about your life, you know, you focus on the good gets better. So before I start my day, I feel my way through to that place. And there's so many things that pop into my mind to be grateful for. And then I write it, because I actually published a book that I can use myself, and I use my own book, and I write in there. I write in there every single day, right? So this is a sacred space. This is a place for you to learn about gratitude. So there's 15 chapters in there, and actually the 15th chapter, and I have contributors, because I asked people to submit stories about how gratitude had graced their life, and I was just blessed with so many. But in the 15th chapter, what I actually did is I took some of those little sticky notes I talked about, and I divided them into 4 seasons, and I wanted people to actually see what my days during that whole year, some examples, right? So, you know, in the spring of that year, that spring was coming for incredible mentors, that I chose to get out of my comfort zone, that I had quiet time by the lake to write. I was really grateful for my vet. I was really grateful for my late father's guidance that I felt every single day. I was grateful for new friendships. I was grateful that my purpose was finding me. I was grateful for mending fences with old friends. There were so many things in that year that I noted to be grateful, that it did shift my life. So that daily practice of feeling it and then writing it, and then something that I encourage all of my clients to do is writing an as if life script. So what does it feel like now that the wish is fulfilled? So for everybody in the room, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, wherever your desire takes you, you want to write it out in detail every day as if it's already here. Not, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to, and when this happens, that I'll do that then, and this will be there. That's not how manifesting happens. You have to give a clearly defined image of what you're striving for, but as if it's here already. So you get emotionally attached to the outcome, and you live that outcome, and you write that script. So that's a big part of my morning routine. I write my as if life script, and it's full of detail and emotion, what it feels like at my beach house, and where I am, and who's in my life, and who I'm talking to, and it could be, you know, the business you want to be in, it could be an income that you want, it could be a physical, you know, your physical health, your mental health, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But you have to imagine what it feels like now that it's here, and live in that. And that's what brings your future closer to you much faster.
Oh man, this was gold. Write it as if it has already happened. Like, the reason why I'm just like so ecstatic about it, because, you know, like, I want to share with you like a little bit of my experience with regards for gratitude. And, you know, like I said, my very first mentor had introduced me to it. I was like, whatever. However, I always go into new things with an open mind. I was like, let me write it down. And you know, I'm an immigrant. I live in the US. And I remember when I visited California for the first time, I was like, man, like the sunshine, the palm trees, like everybody here is like so happy and fit. I'm like, I want to live here someday. But I mean, you know, like the immigration process in the US is brutal, right? And I was like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I kept on writing down. I live near a body of water in California. Like, I wrote it for years. And, you know, with regards to my significant other, Erin, I completely manifested her. Like, it was like, it's so insane. Like, when you
Israeli voodoo
when you write things as if it makes you vibrate on that level. Do you
Exactly.
agree?
Well,
Like,
it's about the frequency.
right.
It all gets back to the frequency. So if you're living in the life that you desire,
Mhm.
okay, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's real.
Right.
Okay, it's subjective. Your
Right.
conscious mind looks at reality and goes, huh, well, that's the way it is. It's not the way it is. It's the way it is because it's the way you imagined it to be, or you focused your attention on things that were bringing you these results.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you live, if you imagine the life that you want, and as kids, that's where we lived. We lived in our imagination. Your imagination is one of your higher faculties. Use it. Use it every day. Take that time in the morning. So what I do is I plug into my beach, okay, and I sit and I go to the beach in the morning in Montreal, where there's no beach, right?
I love it.
So my conscious awareness doesn't even kick in because I live in my subconscious awareness and I plant the seeds, which is the law of gestation. So here's what most people, how they get tripped up. They imagine what they want and then they figure they're going to open up their eyes and it's going to just appear. Okay. You've planted an emotional idea seed. And the law of gestation tells us that we're not in charge of how long it takes to manifest. But what you have to understand is you've now started the process. So what's going to happen? You're going to start meeting people, hearing people, getting introduced to people, opportunities. You're talking about luck. No. Serendipitous things are going to start happening because you've now told the universe this is where you're going to be in California, living by the beach. So when I decided to do retreats in Florida for my authors, okay, I didn't know, I just came up with an idea. And so I plugged into my beach every day and I said, I have a condo in Florida and this is what I do. And my authors, and I could feel them coming down, going to the airport and bringing my kids and they were going to visit and all of this thing was going to happen. And I imagined it right into my reality. About a week or so later, I get an email from somebody who I had plugged into. Florida's like my second home. I'm like a snowbird, right? So I get an email from a realtor company that I hadn't heard from in a long time. They were just checking in with me to see if I was still interested in buying a property in Florida. And I said, well, I'm really not interested in buying a property. I'd like to rent a property and I want to bring some clients down. Do you do that? They said, no, but we know who does. So that email led me to another person. And when I contacted that person and I said, do you rent properties on the west coast of Florida? Yes, we do. I'm looking for a place right on the beach that I can do writers' retreats. Well, it just so happens we just got a place. Would you like to see it? So I've been doing writers' retreats on the west coast of Florida ever since. And I imagined that condo right into my life by thinking about it and being in it. And then when my children came down to visit, I remember picking them up at the airport and having this awareness that went, oh my gosh, this is that moment that I imagined them all flying in to visit me. And here I am at the airport picking them up.
Yeah.
So write an as if life script. That is part of my morning routine. Write it out as if it's already here. Feel gratitude, write gratitude, decide what kind of day you're going to have, and then let the rest of the world in.
And this is when we're really starting to get into metaphysics and why Albert Einstein was, told to be crazy. And guess what? All the people in the world who did amazing things, like they envisioned it and that's how they created it. That's how, Steve Jobs created the iPhone. He was told that he was crazy. He got fired from Apple. But when you have such a vivid vision, you go ahead and you pursue it because you're vibrating at that same level. And, something that I want to get into, Carolyn, and how that happens is because, I'm sure that you know about the reticular activating system. When you write things as if they already have happened, what you're now starting to do is your reticular activating system, which is, located in your brain, is going to suddenly lead you and filter out anything that's not vibrating on that very thing. So for example, so a great example, and I think Bob Proctor uses it a lot, imagine your dream car, right? And I think he uses the red Ferrari like example. He's like, if this is, what you imagine it to be, what you're now going to notice is that there's going to be red Ferraris all
everywhere.
Right? Like, did that ever happen to somebody? Or like when you were craving something and then it's like you saw it everywhere that day, right? This is because your reticular activating system is literally like leading you and guiding you towards it. Yeah.
I have another great example as well that I love. And Monica, I think, is on the call. She'll love it too. You know how you see numbers repeat themselves?
Yep.
Right? Like you see 1111.
Yep.
Okay. That happens to me every single day. But you imagine it, you tell yourself you're going to see 1111.
Yep.
And it's not by coincidence that you happen to look down and manifest that number on your phone at that exact moment. You've actually manifested it.
Yeah.
So you imagine it, and then it's going to keep showing up in your world because that's what you focused your attention on.
Oh my gosh, this is so powerful and it's so freaking true. You know, I want to read some of the comments because I think it was like 20 minutes ago when we talked about envisioning, and, you know, we asked the audience, what is one thing that you want to happen to you in 2020? Let's see.
I don't know if anyone
Okay,
has.
I think Jeanette. I'm not sure if anybody wrote anything.
Well, Jeanette wrote, I want to be able to inspire at least one person to change their lifestyle and live healthy and be the very best version of themselves by continuing to be consistent with her own journey.
Where do you see that? That's great. You know, so Jeanette, for one, I know that you're already doing it. Why don't we just rewrite it as if it's already happening? Mm-hmm. And what you're now going to notice, once you change the way that you're writing it in the present tense, is that now your reticular activating system is going to attract people into your life that need you to inspire them.
Yeah, you know that expression, I'll see it or I'll believe it when I see it?
Yeah.
You've got to believe it to see it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to believe it. It's going to show up. So if you were to rewrite that, Jeanette, one of the ways that I write everything is I am so happy and grateful now that. So I am so happy and grateful now that I inspire people to change their lifestyle and live their healthiest, best version of their life. It's already here. You can't want to be able to do it. You're doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy and grateful now that anything, but you're doing it actively now. And I challenge everybody to do this for just pick a 30-day, 10-day, whatever period of time you can challenge yourself to, and then track what happens. Become aware of things that start showing up, because when you tell the universe what it is that you want, it will conspire to bring you all the people and experiences and opportunities that you need. Your job is to not figure out how you have to get somewhere. Your job is to just know where you're going. Leave the rest to the universe to figure it out. Universe, God, whatever the universal, power is for you, and allow that to happen. Don't try to direct traffic. Don't swim upstream. Get into the flow of your life. Allow things to come as they're meant to come. Stop pushing and resisting all of these things. Imagine them already here. Watch what starts showing up. Take notice of how the universe is supporting what you want, and then watch the magic.
I'm giving you a big virtual hug right now.
You too.
This is so powerful. I actually just got to the segment when they were writing down one thing that they want to happen in 2020. So like Kayla said, hit my healthy body weight. So this is great, Kayla, because you're saying as if it has already happened. However, in order to help you vibrate on that even more, and Carolyn, like, please feel free to add more if I'm not doing this correctly, get more specific with it, because the more specific you get, the more vivid your vision becomes. And the more vivid your vision becomes, the more you're going to start vibrating on that same exact result, and that's how you're going to actually attract it to you.
Yeah, it's real. Absolutely. You have to be very, very specific. I mean, I'll say to clients sometimes, what does it feel like publishing clients, for example, my author clients, because I mentor in mindset as well. So all of this part that we're talking about now, which is just part of the way I live my life, the way you live your life, and I'm sure everybody on the line too. This part is important when it comes to authorship, because the first resistance that people have is that their story doesn't matter. So there's a, you want to move into that place of belief first. So you want to get yourself into that place where you already understand exactly what you want. So for my author clients, I say to them, imagine what it feels like at your first book signing. My story is that I had not written my book. I was writing another book, and the gratitude was part of a chapter in that book. And I was writing so much in that chapter that it became a book. Yeah. And so I was going to study at the Chopra Center, and I decided that I wanted to not just be grateful to Deepak, because he had guided me along many times in my life, but I wanted to write a book and I wanted to give it to him. So I gave myself 3 months to write it and publish it. And so my as if was, I am standing in front of Deepak Chopra and I'm handing him a copy of my book that wasn't even written yet. That is what got me up every day to write. That was what motivated me. I didn't get motivated to sit down and write. I got motivated for the result. And that feeling that I couldn't wait to feel of pride and accomplishment and joy of being able to write a note out, which I did the night before in the hotel, and then that day got to hand him a copy of my book. And that feeling was exactly how I imagined it to be. So what does it feel like that the wish is fulfilled? And then reverse engineer it. Then feel that feeling every day. And then you're going to find the way that you actually, your actions take place every day, you're going to start to move towards your goal, and things that will help you will start showing up. So it's really, really powerful to feel as if you've already achieved the goal.
Amen to that. So powerful. I mean, man, like, you're so good. And I feel like, we can talk on about this forever. However, I know that you do have a busy day ahead, but I want to talk about your books a little bit. Like, which books have you written and published, in the case that anybody's like, man, like, Carolyn's on fire, I'm like ready to go and grab a copy.
Well, this book, I have another book that, because gratitude guided us for the last 15 years through collaborative divorce, right? So one of the reasons why we're able to have an extended blended family, 2 families, we raised a generation of kids being collaborative and co-parenting. How did we do that? We used gratitude. It was the foundation for being able to live our life as we have over a 15-year period, co-parenting and having the life that we do. So that book was the first book. That book is coming out later this year. But this book, Gravitate to Gratitude, you can find it by going to my website, go under book, and you can go to Amazon as well. But if you go to my website, you'll find it there, and you'll find out a little bit more about what I do and how that, and if you want to schedule a call with me just to chat about any of these things, you don't have to want to publish a book. You can just go to my website, carolynflower.com, and right at the top it says schedule a call, and you just click on that link and schedule it at a time that that's convenient for you. So if you need any guidance with mindset or goal achieving or gratitude writing, I'm happy to hop on a call and give you some guidance. And I'm going to be sending somebody a copy of this book as well.
Yes. So before we end this, just so you know, I added your website to the chat box so that you guys, please feel free to check her out. I'm sure that everybody believes that Carolyn is fire. Give us an appropriate emoji to describe how you feel right now. However, I see that there are 11 people on the line. So we're going to get to a raffle, and the winner of this raffle will receive Carolyn's Gravitate to Gratitude book. Thank you so much for your generosity, by the way.
You're
Truly.
very welcome. And I can also give you the link to download the 30-day guide, which is basically how to grow your own gratitude garden in 30 days. So it's a companion to this book. It's an e-guide. It's about 20 pages, but it actually guides you through 30 days, those first 30 days. And with a name like flower, I'm allowed to use words like grow and garden and seeds and all of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I use it. I come by it honestly, but I'm happy to send that download to anybody who wants it. You know, reach out, either find me on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm under my name everywhere, or send me an email at carolyn@carolynflower.com, and I will email you a copy of that guide so you can get started with your gratitude practice right away. And I just want to address my very dear friend, Monica. I do have a podcast that's coming. It's in development with my production team now, and it's called Your Extraordinary Stories TV. And it will be Your Extraordinary Stories Radio. So we will be doing my YouTube channel, and I'll be interviewing people with extraordinary stories. So I will be coming back to you guys to get you to interview with me. I look forward to that.
Amazing. Amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been just a really wonderful opportunity, and I really appreciate both of you, and I appreciate the kinship, and we are aligned, and I love that.
Yeah, we're vibrating on the same page. Very clear. Like I felt that from the first second.
I'm over here. I'm vibrated out of out of my clothes.
That's so good.
Hey now. Amazing. Hey now.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate everybody being here this morning.
Would you guys want Carolyn to just send me the PDF so that we can post it on our wall so that all of you guys will have access to it? If so, just comment yes so that we'll see if that is something that you want. Okay, would you mind if we do that?
No problem.
Perfect. So I'll reach to you after this. However, time for the raffle. We have a lucky winner. Pick a number between 1 and 11. Carolyn, you pick it.
Oh, I pick it. Okay. I thought, okay, I'll pick it. Because I'm seeing a number in the chat. 4.
Ooh, Marnie! Marnie, unmute yourself.
Speech.
Good morning.
Good morning. How excited are you?
Hang on one.
What? Uh-oh, I think it's the connection.
So all I will need, need is a shipping address.
Gratitude is for me. Okay, how do you want me to send it to you?
You can send it to
me.
Hear me? Or Erin, do you guys want to? Do you want to take the information and get it out to me, or do you want them to send it to me directly?
Yeah, we can take it and then just shoot it over to you. Either way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to message it to you,
Sarit? Marnie, message it to us, and we will message it to Carolyn.
Okay.
And then I will go in and order a copy and have it shipped to you.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy. And there's coloring in there too, so get your coloring pencils out.
Oh, I love the color.
Hell yeah.
Get your creative brain going there.
Quarantine activities.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carolyn, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. My pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys, thank you so much for jumping on the line.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, this has been amazing. The recording will be up in a few hours, and Carolyn, I'll be sure to send that over to you. You guys, I hope that each and every one of you will have a marvelous, high-frequency kind of weekend. Stay safe wherever you are. Carolyn, thank you so much once again for your teaching. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome. Be well. We will catch you on Monday, 6:30. Bye,
Thank you
Carolyn.
both. Thank
Bye.
you, everybody.
Bye.
Really appreciate it. Bye for now.